Good morning. Welcome to Hometown Heroes. I'm Rick Irving with my co-host Mary Staffeld. And today we have a remarkable individual. His name is Richard Sybesma, and he was the longest serving coach at TCU and has all kinds of records. He spent 38 years at TCU. He coached 18 All-Americans. He received honors 5 times for Coach of the Year. Coached 4 Olympians, 7 team conference championships, and 16 individual league titles. So, Richard, welcome to Hometown Heroes.
Thank you, Rick. It's great to be here with you and Mary today.
Well, it's good to have you. You come well recommended. We have several friends, Bill Henry, and a lot of people that watch Hometown Heroes knows Bill. He's been on our show several times, and Laura Padden, another friend of ours. And you do get around town because we ran into each other just a few years ago at Mount Olivet Cemetery at the Memorial Day service. Mary was there along with our friend Don Graves. But here you are with Lorna, and this is where I first met you. So we are real honored to have you here today, Richard.
Well, thank you for having me.
And this, you've had a remarkable career and retired in 2017, and you're still staying active and still staying busy. I mean, after 38 years of all the work you did at TCU, not just with the swim team, but a lot of work with inner city children, teaching them to swim. You didn't just retire and go sit down someplace. So
No, and I was at TCU, and I'm the longest tenured head coach there. 38 years, that's a long time. But I really enjoyed the opportunity, and TCU is such a great place to work. And I had a lot of great colleagues there. The most thing I miss right now is probably the interaction with my colleagues.
but you do see them from time to time because
Oh, yeah.
you still attend a lot of functions at TCU.
Yeah, the Retirees Association, I volunteer for the Frog Club, and then I have a group of former administrators. We get together once a month for lunch, and that it just helps me stay involved.
What do you? I guess you still go to swim meets and things like that.
Not I announce the meets at TCU, but I don't go just to watch normally. Swimming it's a pretty intense sport, but if you don't know people personally, or if you're not personally involved, it's a little boring at times.
Yeah.
Just watching those kids go up and down. My old diving coach Wayne Chester, he used to say that swimming coaches are negative because they do that, and diving coaches are positive because they do that. Watching the divers. So yeah.
You grew up in Andrews, Texas, which is west of Fort Worth. You go all the way to Odessa, hang a right, go up to Andrews. It's not quite midway between Odessa and Lubbock, but it's pretty close to there.
It is.
And your dad was in World War II.
He was,
and it brought him to Odessa for training.
Yes, he was a navigator bombardier in the Dutch Air Force, and he met my mom while he was in Odessa training to be a bombardier. And so here's a picture of him and his plane. You can see he would actually be crouched down in the front part of that plane when they were flying. But our SYB for our last name is on the plane, and then my mom's name, Lorraine. And one of the coolest pictures I've got of him and his memorabilia from World War II.
And there's his uniform and his crew.
Yep, his uniform, his crew, the name of the plane, Mississippi Dream. And so he went from Odessa to Mississippi for training, and then they went to Australia. And then they were in the Japanese theater fighting the Japanese during World War II, because Indonesia was a Dutch colony. And so they were there to protect the Indonesian people.
Yeah, because I wondered, here's somebody that they have a war going in the European theater, and then they come for training in the United States, and they don't go back to European theater, but they go to Pacific theater. So that's the reason why, because of that Dutch colony. So
Yes, yes, that's it.
a great heritage there. And
I love it. That's just the neatest thing. My dad left, and I framed that up, and it's in my home.
what a honor to own that, and have it on display.
It is. It is.
And so in Andrews is when you became involved in swimming, correct?
Yes, I was a skinny kid uh, back in the day, and I would get sick a lot. In middle school, junior high, if you didn't participate in after school sports, which was football, basketball, and track, man, you were an outcast. You were a nerd. So my dad didn't allow that. He said, "You're going to come home. You're going to help at the motel, and then you're going to do your homework." Well, that was kind of a tough time, but our family physician said, "Hey, he needs to get in something because he's too skinny and sickly." Well, we had an indoor pool because of the oil revenue in West Texas, and the high school was second to none. And so I got involved in the. It wasn't after school; it was kind of after school because probably around 5:30 instead of right after school. And my mom would take me to practice, and I fell in love with swimming, and was able to go. I was able to go to state meet twice, not as an observer, but as a participant. And then I was able to get a small scholarship to Texas Tech, and that's kind of where I learned more about coaching. And I wasn't one of the stars at all on the team at Tech. I was one of the guys that were there every day and just training and getting it out. And but my junior and senior years, I was team captain, and that's a skinny picture there. But you know,
We probably all have some pictures like that
oh
from
yeah.
days gone by.
And my college coach, I lasted 4 years, and I mean that the way it sounds, because going from a small town to a major college program it's a shock. You're not just swimming a little bit, boy. You're training a lot and going early mornings. You're going afternoons, and you're going to the weight room, and uh, it was 7 days a week in those days. It was just a grind, and I was just lucky to get through it. I had some teammates that were very supportive, and just lucky to get through it.
And you got to go to a lot of different places, didn't you? To different swim meets around the country.
Well, I did. I did mainly in when I was at TCU more so than
Okay.
at Tech. We obviously competed against the Southwest Conference teams, and then we would go to Air Force Academy for meets. I don't know why, but that was at altitude, and that's where I got introduced to. Had I known about the academy structure, I would have probably been a little better student in high school and tried to apply for the academy because when we went there, the facilities and just the whole campus was it's stunningly beautiful. It takes a different breed to be an academy cadet, but I would have enjoyed that challenge, I think.
Yeah,
And
I was
very,
stationed there from 84 to 86. I was a training manager in the hospital, and it was
Wow.
absolutely spectacular place.
And
Vets are very different. Yes.
it still looks brand new.
Yeah.
I mean, the architecture and where they located it and everything. Oh, and so when we went to the Air Force Academy, my first year as a coach at TCU, I took my team there. Well, I knew the area, I knew that it was familiar. We got to eat dinner with the cadets. Now we couldn't do that after that, but you got 4,000 cadets all eating together, and you see the plebes eating the square meal. And they have to walk, Mary. They have to walk certain lines, don't they?
Yes. Yes. When they're up on the terrazzo, they have to.
Yeah.
They can't. There's no. You have to.
Right.
It's all. Yes. It's very particular. Yes.
What an eye-opening experience as a first year or second year coach at TCU, and then my team was going like, "Wow, this is cool," you know. different.
Yeah.
And so
Different.
after college, your first coaching job was at Monahan's?
Monahans, Texas, and I was a first year coach, brand new pool. In fact, I started there in January of '76, and um, again, the pool wasn't even finished; it didn't have water in it yet. But it gave me an opportunity to kind of get organized, and I was there for 4 years, and I loved Monahans because I was from Andrews, small town,
Used
and
to the tumbleweeds and
yep. Yeah, a lot of people, it's culture shock if you come from a bigger city, but I was used to that. So, and I had a great group that had done summer swimming programs there. Bob Hansen and Judy Palmer started all that, and so I kind of inherited something that had already started, not at the high school level, but at the younger kids level. And wow, we had 80 kids on the high school team, and then we had 100 kids on the club team. And I ate, drank, and slept swimming. And the families there were so rewarding, and just brought you in, and everybody cared, and we had a good support group. And boy, once that happens, we had the winning smaller school in West Texas was Fort Stockton.
mm,
So that was our goal, was to beat Fort Stockton, and I was there a couple of years, and we were able to beat them there. And then we went to a 3A and under invitational in Burnet, Texas, not Austin, Burnet. And we won that with our women, and then our men and women won it the next year. So what fun. I mean, working with families and kids at the high school level and club level there in Monahans, I just loved it.
and you had a lot of family support
Yes.
from the parents, and then a lot of community support, I'm sure, with that many children and young people in those programs.
And that pool they built was funded between the school system and the county. So if more places could enable the funding to go together, there'd be a lot more things that would be accomplished everywhere. But that was pretty cool.
And then you went to TCU after that, correct?
Yes, 25 years old. I started at TCU, youngest coach in the Southwest Conference and at TCU, and um, I was very lucky to be there. Right time, right place. And we all know how that happens. So, and Rick and Mary, I took a $5,000 cut to go from Monahans to TCU.
Wow.
My college coach told me,
Crazy.
yeah, my college coach told me sometimes you have to take a step back to get two steps ahead. And
That's
that's kind of what happened.
That's a
Once,
good quote.
yeah, once I was at TCU, I was able to. They started funding the program more, and was able to see some early success, which made it even more fun. My women's team, my second and third year, we were third in the nation, but we were in a Division two. You gave you were in divisions by how many scholarships your school gave, not by what the men's programs were. So our women were D2, and our men were D1. But the women's team, you could do pretty well in D2 with a good group of athletes. And so third in the nation 2 years was, oh man, that was awesome. That's in the old Association of Athletics for Women. That was before women's sports were in the NCAA. And the men, so my second and third year there, we were we were fifth in the conference. You say, well, that's not that great, but we tied A&M, and we'd never been better than seventh. So all of a sudden, we're seeing some movement there. And later in my career, it was winning if we got third in the Southwest Conference, because you had Texas, you had SMU, and then everybody else. And so
You
our
had
goal was to finish third.
in the Southwest Conference at that time. You had Texas, SMU, TCU, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and was Texas Tech in the
Texas
Southwest?
Tech,
Okay.
yes.
Did I miss anybody?
You had Baylor,
Uh huh.
um, Let me think what else. Yeah, you mentioned Arkansas. Now, Oklahoma and Baylor didn't have programs, but the University of Houston also had a very good program. So our goal is it's kind of weird. Hey, third was like winning. And believe it or not, when you'd go to that Southwest Conference meet, first was already determined. It was going to be Texas or maybe SMU. Texas kind of overtook them later on. And then it was going to be SMU, and then everybody else was fighting for third. So third was winning to us.
Yeah, SMU used to have a great football team too.
Yes.
I,
Yes.
I guess this isn't any
I was
slam
gonna
against
say, don't get into sore topics. You know?
Yeah.
the best that money could buy, maybe.
It was, and I was started at TCU when SMU had the death penalty, and if you look back on it, it was really devastating to that program. But boy, they've made a comeback, and boy, TCU, their football and all their programs now are just outstanding. And I think what happened when the Southwest Conference broke up and we were not invited into the Big 12, I think we had a group of donors that said, we're never going to be left behind again. That's probably the best thing that could ever happen to us, because we had people like Dick Lowe and Hunter Ennis and Malcolm Loudon and so many more that said, we're going to do it right now. And so they were able to help make TCU a name. And then Gary Patterson too. Wow.
You mentioned Dick Lowe. Was he the American Manufacturing? Did he own that, or
They had several different oil companies. Yes,
okay?
he and Hunter, and just did some wonderful things for TCU.
And TCU went from just a small school to, I mean, they're in the national spotlight now. I mean, that's where everybody wants to come to TCU.
Yeah, in almost every sport, we've seen the success football's had. Just women's basketball just recently making the Elite Eight, and then men's basketball has done very, very well. Tennis, God Almighty, David Roditi's won the national championship 2 years in a row with his team, always there in the top 5 in the NCAA tennis, and then our equestrian, our volleyball, our beach volleyball, golf, track. You just can't. You go on, and you can see every sport has had just a huge success. Swimming as well. Swimming's done very, very well. And our new coach, James Winchester, has really elevated the program with international recruiting. So it's been great.
And for you to be there that long, you just saw so much growth, and it's just remarkable. I mean, their footprint is getting pretty large. They're going to have to start tearing down some houses over there around them to expand much more, keep going east on Berry. So,
oh yeah. And so when I took my team to Hawaii one year when we were in the WAC, because Hawaii was in the WAC, and we did training and we had to meet with them. And at that same time, the Sun Bowl was being played when we beat USC, and that's kind of where things started to turn around. Well, all of a sudden we're wearing TCU stuff in Hawaii, and people go, wow, TCU just beat USC. And, and then I'm in Florida with my team training later on in my career. And so people said at this one community complex we were training at, they said, well, we've never heard of TCU. I said, well, have you heard of Ole Miss? Well, yeah, of course, that's in the SEC. And I said, well, TCU just kicked Ole Miss's ass in the Peach Bowl. And all of a sudden, you're walking around and they're going, wow, that little old TCU's come on the field. I hope it's okay. I said ass.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Mary and I live probably about 5 miles apart, but we're near NASJRB's flight pattern, so I get it first. So if you'll see me mute sometime, and then right after I come back on, Mary mutes because they're coming over to her house. So
Okay.
Sound of freedom. We love it.
that's right.
Oh yeah.
It just makes it hard to hear sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the experiences you had and some of the places you were involved in. This is in Nicaragua, and you were coaching one of your students who was from Nicaragua, correct?
Yes. Walter Souza, a Nicaraguan native, he'd lived in the U.S. for 8 years when we recruited him, and he came to TCU. And 1996, he was a participant in the Olympics for Nicaragua, and I was able to go as his coach. And that was just a wonderful experience. Olympic Village, we stayed there for 2 weeks. We got to march in the opening ceremonies, and the swimming portion lasted 7 days. So we were there a few days in advance and a few days afterwards. But boy, what an experience in your career. Everybody as an athlete says, well, I want to be an Olympian. Well, that doesn't happen because only 2 people in the U.S. make it in every event. But there's other countries represented in the Olympics, and Walter was on the TCU team. He was an All-American here, an Olympian here, and he's in our TCU Hall of Fame. And it was just an unbelievable experience for me.
And you got to meet
I did.
Muhammad Ali.
Rope-a-dope. I met Muhammad Ali there. We didn't talk too much, obviously, but I got to shake his hand. That was a real honor.
And he's a remarkable guy too. He had his ups and downs and some things. Spent a little time in prison for
Sure.
the draft, but the stories I've heard about him, he was just a genuinely great person that was really in touch with people, just regular people. Whether it was a chauffeur or a waiter or anybody else. So.
And seeing him light the flame, at the opening ceremony, wow, that's cool.
And here's just a collage of some of the memories you have.
Yep, I put that together, and it's framed, and just different pictures from the Olympics and postcards. And then on the left there are different tickets of events that we were able to go to. So that was kind of fun. It was just a great experience.
And there you are. This is Salt Lake City Olympics, correct?
Yes, the torch relay, it ran across the U.S. Well, in 2002, I was selected to run in the torch relay through the TCU campus. Now, I would call it a jog, and I would also say it was probably about 3 blocks. They would take you in a bus and drop you off, and then the next person would come behind you, and you'd light the torch, and then you'd run. And what an honor. I mean, running right through the campus carrying the Olympic flame, that's another highlight of my career. Just an unbelievable experience. That's my support runner. And her husband had been a swimmer for me, and she was in charge of the torch relay. And so there was an opportunity there to be a part of it.
What a great honor that was. And you're the first guest on Hometown Heroes that has carried the Olympic torch. So
probably not the last. Probably the last one. I don't know.
Well, if you ever have David Finfrock on, he was on my bus and he carried the torch.
Did he really?
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
He came right through Fort Worth, and that was in 2002.
Yes. I have in that torch relay, you're on a timeline, and one of the things I wished I would have done is just stopped, because that was after 9/11, not far after 9/11, and I wished I would have just started the chant USA. There was hundreds of people there lining the street, and I think it would have been pretty cool, but that also would have interrupted the torch relay. But that was an afterthought, So Yeah.
Mm.
And this is another collage of pictures.
Yeah, these were presented during my retirement ceremony in 2017. The athletic department put together some pictures of my career and my family, and was able to that people were able to see some of the things from my career there. My daughter's there in the picture with me, Courtney and Katie, and just different pictures of me.
Did your daughters go to TCU or did
Both
they?
of them did. Both of them
Okay.
graduated from TCU.
This,
Mountain West Championship. When we won that, our guys team won that, and boy, that was a fun time.
that's a lot of people on that team.
Yes, we normally had close to 25 to 30 men and women on the team, so 60 athletes total, counting swimmers and divers. So quite a few kids, not kids, young men on that team. You know. Oh, and there's the coaches. We got thrown in afterwards. That's everything from the coaches to our trainer and the weight staff. But you know what? You love every minute of that.
Yeah, and I think that has to be better than a Gatorade bath.
I was
Oh,
thinking
yes.
the same thing.
Yeah, I'd rather be thrown in the pool than have a bunch of Gatorade thrown on me.
And then you're not as sticky either from that
Right.
Gatorade.
That's right.
Yeah.
The Gatorade and the ice. So
Yes. This is a memento the athletic department gave me for my 400th win in 2010, and they had it framed, and that's my staff, and that was pretty cool. They presented that to me at a basketball game at TCU.
400 wins. That's a lot of wins.
It's a lot of wins. Yeah, I don't really know how many more I got because it's hard to figure them out between 10 and 17. You have to go back every year and figure it out. But 400 was a pretty good number. Honored.
Yeah, being a coach, you've really got to know how to work with people, and you coach with younger people, high school and junior high, and then move into the collegiate, coaching. So you really got to understand people and what drives them and how to motivate them.
True. That's where you talk about certain teams that you're motivated to try to beat if you've never beaten them before, particularly at TCU or Monahans. That was the Monahans Fort Stockton deal I think I mentioned earlier. And then at TCU, it was trying to beat my alma mater, Texas Tech. I wanted to do that. The Aggies of A&M, I wanted to do that.
Breaks my heart.
SMU, had beaten us in dual meets for 40 years. That's before my time even. And we were able to beat them 3 out of the last 4 years of my career. And let me tell you something, that's huge when you're kind of reaching that point where you might have had sand kicked in your face for the last 40 years, but kind of you get a chance to kind of rise up. So those were really great victories, and those were what we pointed the team at doing, along with our conference race finishes. Now, we were kind of at a disadvantage, especially in the Southwest and in the Big 12. At Texas had the best team in the country, and they would win the Big 12 and Southwest Conference year in and year out. Top team in the country. You're hoping to get top 3 or second or third, not necessarily because they were. I hate to use this word. They were unbeatable. At that level. So.
But as you progressed in your career and started getting more wins, your recruiting, it got better too, didn't it?
It did, yes, sir. And then we were able to get more scholarships. When I was hired, we had 4 in men and 4 in women, and they said, "Hey, we're going to add 1 a year." And then we topped out at 11 in the men and 14 in the women at that time. And scholarships really help. I mean, it's hard to get an athlete if you don't have something to entice them to come. Now, all that's changed now with the NIL, but scholarships were it's called the athlete's fuel is scholarships.
Yeah.
As something
Well,
on
there's some that wouldn't be able to go if it weren't for a scholarship. So
You're right.
it's not about making a choice between this school and another school based on how much they're going to give you, but this may be the only way they get to go to college. So I know people that they train because they think that that'll be their path. So those scholarships are important.
And the we always tried to combine either academic and athletic or sometimes need-based aid with athletic. So if you could put a package together, that was really helpful. TCU being more expensive than a state school, you had to really put a package together because many times this is kind of, I'm serious about this. We could give a kid $20,000 if TCU cost 40, and they could walk on at Texas or A&M cheaper in the old days.
Right.
The state schools really had an advantage because they didn't cost as much as private schools. Yeah.
Yep. My middle child is an Aggie Frog, so she has a 4-year degree from A&M and then went to TCU's accelerated nursing program. And I think the program at TCU cost as much as it cost for all 4 years at A&M.
I don't doubt that. Yeah. They have a great nursing school, though, at TCU. And now they've got a medical school, too. I don't know if you know that. They built a new medical school on Rosedale, and the building is just phenomenal.
Well, she went back on, I think, to Texas Women's, and she got her master's, so she's a nurse practitioner. I said, you could have made this a lot easier and just gone to medical school.
Sure.
It just made more sense, but she's doing really great. She loves what she's doing.
I'm glad. That's awesome.
So her boys are, most of the time they're like TCU. That's their school. And so don't forget about the Aggie part.
Sure.
As you look back on your career, what do you think your greatest accomplishment was?
A community effort between Make-A-Wish and TCU, honoring a child of a former swimmer of mine who, Nathan Lynn was his name, 8-year-old, had a brain tumor. So one day, again, his mom swam for me 30 years earlier. This is back in 2016. I go to the hospital and I have a poster that our team signed for him because he's going through chemo, radiation, and he's had surgery on his brain. Well, the day I brought that poster to her, they'd been told some sad news about him, and so, man, that was heart-wrenching. To be at the hospital with his mother who'd just been told things weren't looking good. Well, so I got after that. After we hugged and cried. So, sorry. After that, I got back to the office and I said, God, there's got to be something we can do for that family. And Nathan, well, came to my mind, why don't we make him an honorary member of our team? Why don't we sign him to a letter of intent? And that happened about 4 weeks later. And he came up there and his family and our team and all together. He signed a letter of intent. He ended up getting in the water and swimming a length of the pool. He looked pretty darn good, and he led our team in a cheer. Phenomenal for my team, again, for me and for the family, that experience. We had 5 TV stations there that day filming it, and it's a pretty remarkable story. Sadly, about 3 months later, things didn't work out for Nathan, but it gave his family and him and our team an opportunity to celebrate his life. So it's pretty cool. That's probably the pinnacle of my career.
Yeah, that's special.
Yeah, it was pretty darn special. So
Because outside of coaching TCU swim team, you've helped a lot of our inner city children learn to swim through
yeah,
through
we have a
a
program
program.
called Fort Worth Swimming Frogs, and it's run through the Rainwater Foundation, uh, and we teach 450 kids to swim every summer, um, and they usually live in areas where there's no pools. So here's their choices: they go swim in a lake or a river, or they go to an apartment pool with no lifeguard. Um, and we teach those at Wilkerson Grinds, which is a pool on the south side of town. And they're bussed in both from the mobile rec program, which is a city program where they're there all day and they come for lessons 30 minutes a day. And then we also have the Fort Worth Children's Partnership, where those are schools that have programs in the summer, and they bring their kids in. So we do that 6 weeks, 2 3 week sessions, and we're at 200 and right at 250 each session, 3 week session in June and July. I love it. We have 25 people that work for us, counting instructors, counting lifeguards, supervisors. We have a balcony supervisor, and we have a policeman there every day. So, and a full time trainer. So, it's a it's a well oiled machine, and I love doing it. And I've been doing it for 12 years.
Wow.
And our friend Bill Henry, he works with you on that,
He
doesn't he?
does. He's one of our supervisors and does a great job with that. They kind of watch the instructors and make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. And if there's a problem with an individual, or if the instructor needs some help, that's where he comes in, and that's where I come in too.
Well, Bill's a real special guy to roll call and to myself and Mary.
Yeah.
He's just a great American, Vietnam veteran. Was on the ground in combat, and he does so much for our community, just like that. But uh, to have him as a friend, you got a friend, and he really thinks highly of you, Richard.
Well, thank you. I think very highly of him. He and I went to roll call the first time, gosh, several years ago. And I'm not a veteran, but man, that thing, you feel with pride there at 500 veterans all there, and they're all there for the right reason, honoring our country, and they're true patriots. And so I don't go that often, but he's a regular there, and he's an icon there. I know too,
Yeah.
and with his hat, he's well known across town, and but he loves telling his story, and he loves representing our country as a veteran. What
Yeah.
an honor for him!
And what's really funny about that, Richard, is that when we first started talking to Bill, we'd have the lunch, and then after the lunch, a few of us would go over and we'd sit and have a couple adult beverages. And we were talking to Bill a couple of different times after lunches, and he would tell us about what he did in the military. And we're like, Bill, and he didn't at that time wear that hat. He didn't wear the first cap.
Right.
And we'd say, you got to tell the story at a luncheon. And no, I can't do that. No, I can't do it. Finally, we got him to tell that story at a luncheon. He wore the hat. He told the story. His wife came, and you were probably there.
I was there. I
Too.
videoed it for him.
And ever since then, he's like, it's okay to share the story. It's okay. He wears the hat everywhere, like you said. He's very much about being willing to tell the story, and he encourages other people to tell the story, that it's not so scary, that it helps you more than it's just one of those things that it's a true benefit to a person. And we hear that from so many of our vets, that they feel better, and their families tell us that that's a lot of times when they started talking about that he started, that their veteran started telling them, the family stories, where they'd never heard them before. So
Uh,
that's really what we like to think about. Roll call is helping, one, get people out of the house, because if we can get them out of the house and get them engaged, right?
get
Because
them engaged.
right, the 22 killed, the 22 veterans that take their lives every day are because they don't have a sense of purpose. They're not engaged. They've got demons they're fighting, and they can't figure out how to face them. They feel alone, all a bazillion other reasons. But if we can get them to luncheons, get them out to ball games with us, get them to events, get them involved in volunteering and things, it's amazing what you can do to help them.
Sure. It's life-changing for those veterans to feel appreciated
Yes.
and, at the same time, be there with their colleagues in arms. And, you guys are really great at everything you do with roll call. If you go once and you're not hooked, something wrong with you,
That's what I said.
whether you're a veteran or not. But, Bill and I went that first time, and wow, it was just so cool. And um, Bill's also involved with the Greater Fort Worth Area Community Charities and Civic Leaders. I was involved with that at one time. Lyle Lofke's deal.
And the city.
Anyway, that group raises money, and they feed the entire Carswell base once a year with a barbecue, and then they also do several other things. They give money to schools across the city that needs it. They also help with Christmas with packaging for needy families and veterans families, and it's pretty cool. I have another friend who's a donation relations manager for Freedom Alliance. I get to go to his functions for veterans that are disabled, or they build houses, they give them cars, they give them wheelchairs that are um, I guess electronic. And his name's Greg Blackwell. And I get to go to some of his functions. I'm not a volunteer for him, but man, you go to one of those too, and you see people that are needy and appreciated. That's another avenue from a standpoint of things that I've gotten to attend. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that barbecue luncheon is really good. The first time I experienced it, I was still serving out there, and I was there the day of the barbecue.
Wow.
I got to go and enjoy some barbecue.
Sure.
So
Sure.
yeah,
That
it's
was a
definitely good.
neat program.
Yeah.
The time I went, Coburn's, I don't know if Coburn's always catered it, but
Yes.
I'm kind of partial to Coburn's. They were out at General Dynamics and Lockheed for years, and ate a lot of barbecue out there. So,
I ate a lot of barbecue. Yep.
what do you do now in your spare time that you're retired when you aren't teaching the community swim?
Well, I stay involved, Frog Club volunteering. I stay involved with the athletic department. I announce the swim meets. I'm not there. I'm not there. Okay, but I'm there. And then I love going to football and basketball games. And I also just I moved out to North Richland Hills, and I don't come into town nearly as often as I used to. But especially when you first retire, you're kind of wanting to be there, but they don't want you there. The new, I don't mean that the way it sounds. The new people are in charge, and they need to do their thing, with the team or with the department or stuff. They don't necessarily need your advice.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then Wagon Train, The Rifleman. I watch a lot of black and white westerns, and Andy Griffith. Man, it brings you back to your childhood. I mean, those are the type of shows that I watched growing up, and I just I do some of that. I'm not doing that all day, but I kind of plan my day around some of the time they come on.
Back whenever we were growing up, Richard, we didn't have all these little electronic
No,
games and
no,
unlimited
three
channels
channels
and
probably, right?
movies. it was a big deal to go see a movie. I mean,
Oh yeah.
when it first came out, and
Oh
you're
yeah.
probably like me. You can remember, whenever you saw this movie and this movie, whenever it made its debut. So,
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
well, you retired in 2017.
Yep. This is a group of my friends at my retirement ceremony. Close friends, and you can see Bill there on the left. But these guys are really awesome. If there were a Hall of Fame for friends, they'd be in the Hall of Fame.
Hmm.
So great guys. And this is a picture of my first year in '79. These guys were all juniors, and we've remained really close. They're like family, and they were there at my retirement ceremony. And the guy to my right, Scott Holman, actually started a scholarship for swimming and diving in my name. And he's the one with the tie on and the coat. What an honor to have a former swimmer represent uh, represent you like that.
Wow.
TCU is a pretty good place to go.
Oh yeah. Um, this was a ad that was placed in Texas Monthly Magazine about TCU, not just good athletes, but good students academically. And my team most years were pretty high up in the athletic department in the academic rankings, and we had a lot of academic All-Americans on our team, and that's a pretty cool picture. You know what I patterned that after? I was in Oklahoma, and I saw a billboard, and it had the Navy SEALs coming out of the water with their guns and stuff. And I thought, God, that's cool. And so I said, maybe we can do a poster or some pictures like that. And sure enough, uh, we had them. We want them looking tough. And so I that was where I got it, the idea of it. So it's pretty cool.
It's a great poster.
Yeah, thank you.
In your career, you probably don't have any idea how many young people that you coached, do you, or taught swimming?
Well, here's the deal. I figured it up one day I had a lesson program at TCU, and I taught over 30 years, close to 15,000 kids.
Wow.
And then in the summer program, the footwear swimming frogs, I think we've topped out at pretty close to 4,000 there. So now some of those are repeat customers, obviously, but you know, most of the people I know in town, not from the TCU swimming coach, but for the guy who taught their kids to swim. And it's so cool because just last week I ran into some people at a restaurant, and their kids are like in their 30s, and they said, "You taught our kids to swim," and I said, "That's pretty cool." I know a lot of people throughout the community that I know because of their kids being in swimming. Most of the time, I can remember the kids' names without necessarily remembering the parents' names, and that's what's fun about it. So, yeah,
Man.
that's pretty cool.
Had a great impact on a lot of people.
Well, it's fun if you love what you do. You guys both know that.
Yeah.
It's fun to do it. It's not like work.
Nope.
It's a lot like it's not like work.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Because you really have to get involved with especially coaching, not just the person in the swimming part or the diving part, but you have to get involved with their problems, because
Oh yeah.
you're probably one of the most important people in their life while they're at TCU.
You can be, at the same time, they're away from home. Follow me on this one. They're away from home. They've been into their mom and dad for 17, 18 years, and they don't always like someone else telling them what to do. These are the rules. You got to be at practice on time. You got to do this, this, and this. And some of them aren't used to that. they're used to a different way of life, and so um, I hear what you're saying. I think I did have an impact on quite a few of them, and that you just got to conform to the team rules, and we the ones that did really saw a lot of success, and I think they learned from their experience at TCU and in Monahans too. So that was fun. But I told y'all earlier, boy, this getting to be in the Texas Swimming Diving Hall of Fame is just a real honor for me. And the mentors in my coaching career, George McMillan of SMU, took me under his wing when I first got here. Boy, I learned a lot from him. My old Texas Tech coach, Jim McNally, kept me on the team, and I learned a lot about coaching and about uh, how to deal with athletes with him. And then Beverly Ball, she's an Abilene icon in swimming, West Texas icon, and then she was at Abilene High School in McMurray. She coached Abilene when I was in high school swimming. She's 95 years old, and uh, she's doing great. But she's retired. But I think she retired at 92 from McMurray. So those three are in the Hall of Fame, and then the Fort Worth athletes, William Paulus. Now, 1980 Olympics, we didn't go. Carter Olympics, Russia invaded Afghanistan, and fastest time in the world in the 100 butterfly, NCAA champion at Texas in the 100 butterfly. Uh, he's in the Hall of Fame, and he's a Fort Worth dentist here, and just phenomenal athlete. We got Wayne Chester in the Texas Swimming and Diving Hall of Fame, a diver, all NCAA champion at Alabama, state champion in Texas, and he was a TCU diving coach for 22 years. Great friend of mine. The Locke family, Carl, Cal, Vicky, and Christine, their whole family diving, and they're all in the Hall of Fame. Ronnie Mills, I think we talked about him being an Arlington Heights grad and third in the Mexico City Olympics in the 100 back. And then we have Jane Dillard. So I'm the next one from Fort Worth, which there's a lot in front of me, but I'm honored to be there with a part of them. And so Ronnie Mills, I'm a freshman at Texas Tech, and he's swimming the 100 back at our pool, and I'm in the 100 back, and I get in the lane next to him, and I'm just looking over there. Intimidation. I mean, this guy just finished third in the Olympics. So, but that's how I remember him, and he's done some amazing things at SMU and in Fort Worth with swimming. And so those are some cool people to be a part of this with.
And that's one fond memory I have, because whenever he came back from the Olympics, the whole school was out on the front yard of Arlington Heights, and they brought him up there in a convertible, and the whole school was excited because here is somebody that got the bronze medal in the Olympics that we went to high school with.
Oh yeah, what an honor! What a memory! Huh?
Heights, I think Arlington Heights had a pretty good program in swimming.
Yes.
And so I guess he was part of that program when he was in high school.
The club swimming program at Panther Boys Club, and then it also UTA had a really good club program, and I think both he and William kind of came through those in their younger years.
Yeah, and that Panthers Boys Club, they had a good program, and I started going there when I was a kid. And whenever they started building their swimming pool, I can remember sitting up on the edge looking down the bottom before it ever had any water in it. So
wow. And that was one of the few indoor pools in Dallas-Fort Worth back, gosh, in the 60s or even the 50s, huh?
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
Long time ago.
I'm getting old.
Age, Rick.
Well, Richard, we just have enjoyed having you on here. And, it's people like you that invest their life in young people, and you make a difference in a lot of lives. And, you've had an impact on people around the world. And It's just an honor to know you and to be able to have you on our program, our hometown heroes, because you are indeed a hometown hero. So,
Well, Rick and Mary, thank you so much for having me. This is an honor and a privilege. And gosh, my nickname at TCU, given to me by our former track coach, Bubba Thornton, is Flipper. Many
Flipper,
people around town will say, "Hey, Flipper,"
Flipper.
And so, gosh, this is. I think that the people I've been involved with in lessons and at TCU and Monaghan's have made a bigger impact on me than I've made on them. But you know what? This has been fun to tell my story today. Thank you.
We appreciate you, and here's TCU's website. Go there and visit their website, because if you're looking for a good university to come to TCU.
Good university, good academics, and good athletics there. Yes.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, and we will be seeing you somewhere soon, hopefully at roll call.
Okay, and go Frogs, huh?
Go Frogs.
Barry, go Frogs.
Hey, Aggie Frog. I'll take both of them, right? Yeah, I do both.
That would be
know
like this, huh?
Like that.
What is the Aggie? Is that what it is?
Gig 'em.
Okay.
What do you do to a frog? You gig 'em.
All right. Oh, yeah. That's funny. Well, thank y'all again. Have a great weekend, okay?
Thank you, too. We'll talk to you soon, Richard.
Okay.
Wow, what an incredible career he had.
Yeah. And being such great friends with Bill Henry, that Bill is very special to us, too. So, it's a neat little tie that Bill started bringing him to the luncheons. And so he's been there multiple times. So we've got to visit with Richard before, and it's great to have him on the show.
And then I think that probably him being friends with Lorna and Bill through the civic leaders.
Right. Yeah. All connections. It's all
connections.
Right.
And we have roll call coming up for
25th.
It's
Yep, coming up.
No more reservations.
There are no more. There's absolutely no way that we can get anybody else in now, because the list had to be to the base. So it is what it is, and everybody will have received their instructions already for things like which gate to use, not to bring weapons on base, just all the specifics. Everybody should have received that by the time that they see this. So whether they're who knows when they'll watch it. Hopefully they'll see it before the luncheon. That's the hope, right? Because if they try to come through the gate and they don't do something right, they're not going to get through the gate. So real important that people pay attention. And if they haven't received the email, make sure to go into their spam or their junk, or reach out to us, and we'll get it back to them. But it's going to be a big lunch. We've got over 600 of our folks RSVP'd, and we've got 200 base personnel supposed to join us. So a lot of people.
And we've got sponsor a vet program for roll call. Roll call is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and it costs a little bit of money to put those luncheons on. But this is a real good way that if you want to have an impact and honor our veterans for just $20 a month, it'll help defray the cost of the meal, and then it'll also help fund our outreach program that we have with roll call. One big event coming up, is April the 19th, is the car show for the Brotherhood of the Fallen. And our friends with the Fort Worth Police Department have this organization, and they attend the services around the country of fallen police officers. So that's going to be up right off of Heritage Trace, up there by Cafe Republic. If you want to stop by there and eat breakfast and come to the car show, or come to the car show and eat lunch, it's just around the corner from our good friend Jimmy Palazzani and his family that have Cafe Republic. And then May the 3rd is going to be a big day.
Yeah.
It's going to be the birthday celebration, 100 years old. of Don Graves, Iwo Jima survivor, United States Marine. Don has sang "God Bless America" a million times to millions of people around the world. So,
yeah. And so the RSVP for this is there so that the location, the hearsay, there's no charge for the appetizers or for non-alcoholic beverages. Those are going to be available. So it doesn't cost anyone anything other than parking. But they want people to RSVP because they need to kind of have an idea of how much appetizers they're going to need to have prepared. And I did get information on the parking. So the event is 12 to 3 intentionally because we know that there's a 6:05 Rangers game. So with the parking, the valet, there will be signs for the valet parking. The valet parking is $20. And if a person gets there earlier, so if you get there at 12, 1, maybe even by 2 o'clock, there's a lot across the street from the hearsay that should be free. So if you've come in and you don't want to use valet, and it's of course $20 a car, then you can do that free parking across the street. But if you get there too close, they start shutting down that parking lot. Then they start to charge for the lots. So in that event, you're better off just using the valet. But that's a decent price. That's what I expected that it would probably be. But I did get that confirmed that if you wish to use the valet, it's going to be $20.
I think that would be the best way to do it.
Yeah, I do too. And, $20 is cheap. Doesn't cost you anything to come into the venue. But if you want alcoholic beverages or anything else off the menu, then, of course, that you would be responsible for that. So we're going to have cake. We're going to have lots of there are going to be some really neat presentations that Don has no idea about yet. So we're going to keep those a little bit of a surprise.
That's good. And then there's an opportunity also to help fund a scholarship for the Irving ROTC program.
Yes, in Don's name. Right.
And that's roll call. The Fort Worth Air Power Council and Air Power Foundation are sponsors of that. Yep. And I think that the Air Power Foundation and maybe the Fort Worth Air Power Council are also involved in the celebration the day before.
Yes.
Celebration that day. We've got our second annual War Stories coming up. It's going to be May the 8th at the American Legion Post 655 in Haltom City. It's going to be a great evening. We've got 4 Vietnam veterans that are going to tell their stories, and we'll have a meal. It's only $20, a cheap date.
Yeah, it's super easy to get to the American Legion. It's right off of real close to near where 35W and 820 are. It's really pretty simple, and it is a non-smoking. So for those that are considering, a lot of the Legions and the VFW still have, remnants of cigarette smoke, or they have smoking. This one does not have smoking, and you can't smell it. So if that's something that's keeping you from going, let me reassure you that as somebody who can't be in a place where people smoked ever, hardly, I can be there for hours. So come on out and join us.
It's a good group of people, and they should have a breakfast, I think, just about every Saturday out there for like $8, but $20 for an evening and a dinner is not bad. And to hear some stories from our veterans and to honor our Vietnam veterans. The tip of the spear, we talked about them on our last podcast.
Robbie, yep.
They go out and go to Ukraine and help the people learn how to find and disarm landmines. So they're having their first annual gala, and it's Saturday, May the 31st. So
another place you'll find Don Graves singing.
He's everywhere, isn't he?
He is.
And then July 31st, we're going to have the second annual Patriot Roundup. This is for the Air Power Foundation. It's a great evening down at the Cowtown Coliseum, and you can just go right to their website and find out more information about that. And those are just some of the things that we have going on. Summer's looking good. There's going to be a
Lots
big
to do.
a big lull in July because most of the nonprofits take off and we don't have a lot of things going on. So
Yep. So we fill them with other things.
that's right. Well, Mary, thank you for being with me today, and we just really enjoyed having Richard on, and look forward to our next episode of Hometown Heroes. So for everybody that's been a part of this, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.